Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a close look at quite a collection of sources, articles, research notes, news reports from outlets like BBC News, Yonhap, Asahi Shimbun, The Wall Street Journal.
Real mix, yeah.
And they paint this picture of, a truly complex and pretty startling story. The life and death of Kim Jong-nam. He was, of course, the older half-brother of North Korea's current leader, Kim Jong-un.
But the story doesn't stop there, does it? Because our sources also bring in this mysterious organization, first called Cheollima Civil Defense, later Free Joseon.
Right. They sort of emerged right after his death, claiming to protect his son and, actively resist the regime.
It's a narrative just packed with hidden family stuff, layers of international intrigue, and then this shadowy group operating, well, outside the usual channels.
So our mission today is really to guide you through this tangled web. We want to pull out the key facts, get a handle on the main players,
and maybe uncover what it all reveals about that famously secretive world surrounding the North Korean dynasty.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with Kim Jong-nam himself. His beginning, it really set him apart, didn't it?
Absolutely. Born in 1971, eldest son of Kim Jong-il, but his mother, Song Hi-rim, an actress. That relationship was apparently kept totally secret from Kim Il-sung, the founder.
And that secrecy, it really shaped his early life, according to the sources.
Yeah, reports suggest he was quite isolated at first, hidden away behind palace walls almost. But then, and this is pretty unique for a Kim child, he spent something like a decade living and studying abroad.
Right, Moscow, Switzerland, that kind of thing.
Exactly, from quite a young age.
Our sources really highlight that period. International schools, becoming fluent in French and English. And he got really into computers. That seems like a very different path.
A very different path. And he actually brought that expertise back with him. For a while anyway. At just 17, reports say he was made chairman of the computer committee.
So basically the top IT guy for the country.
Pretty much. He even founded the Korea Computer Center, the KCC.
But his roles expanded pretty quickly beyond just tech. Sources say he was appointed a general in the Korean People's Army in '95.
And then reportedly put in charge of the secret police, the Korean People's Army Security Command, in '96. Newly established at the time.
Okay, so this is where the picture gets, really interesting, and maybe hints at what happened later.
Could be. Sources heavily link him to managing the Kim family's huge secret funds, potentially billions, and being involved in, let's say, less than legal business operations.
Room 39 stuff.
Exactly. Room 39 of the Workers' Party. He was reportedly in charge. That's the powerful clandestine group known for overseas arms sales, investments, getting foreign cash for the regime, often through illicit means.
So he wasn't just some student who lived abroad. He was deep inside the regime's sort of financial engine room.
Apparently so. And funding a pretty lavish lifestyle based on the reports, casinos across Asia, especially once he started living mainly outside North Korea, Macau, Beijing.
Right. But despite all that privilege, you also see hints of disillusionment.
Yeah, sources mention that. There are reports about him witnessing things like factory managers being executed during audits back in the 90s, experiences that supposedly made him question the whole system.
Which kind of leads into this next phase. His life basically transitions almost completely into exile.
Yeah, that really defined his later years, mostly living outside the DPRK, lots of time in Macau and Beijing, seemingly quite detached from Pyongyang.
And then, boom. May 2001, he's suddenly all over the global news. Narita Airport, Japan.
Oh yeah, that incident. Detained, trying to get in on a forged Dominican Republic passport. The alias was Peng Sheng, which means fat bear.
And he apparently said he wanted to visit Disneyland.
That was the story, yeah. It was incredibly sensitive politically.
Yeah.
Japan ended up deporting him to Beijing.
And the sources suggest this event, while maybe not the real reason he was out of the succession picture.
Right. Many sources say he was never really a serious contender anyway.
But Kim Jong-un's mother, Kyong-hui, reportedly jumped on it, used it to kind of boost her own son's claims.
Exactly. It certainly fed into that narrative of a big rivalry, even if the reality was more complex.
And he didn't exactly help his own case for succession, did he? In interviews, like with TV Asahi and that book with Yoji Gomi.
Right, based on emails and interviews.
He kept saying he had zero interest in politics, opposed the whole hereditary thing personally.
Yeah.
Though he said he'd follow his father's decision.
Yeah, quite consistently uninterested, publicly at least.
Now, beyond the family stuff, sources also mention these alleged connections he kept up over the years. intelligence agencies.
Yeah, the US CIA, Chinese, South Korean, Japanese.
Yeah.
It's mentioned quite a bit. How deep those connections went, well, that's hard to verify. But it definitely made him an interesting figure. Maybe a dangerous one.
And then his uncle, Jang Song-thaek, who was seen as his main supporter,
A really powerful figure.
gets executed in 2013. A massive shakeup. And after that, sources say the money Kim Jong-nam had been getting just stopped.
Yeah, remittances reportedly dried up. Some reports even suggest he was having trouble paying hotel bills in Macau towards the end.
So you've got this picture of the eldest son, tied into the regime's secret finances via Room 39, exposed to the outside world, says he doesn't want power, living in exile, maybe talking to spies, and then financially cut off after his protector is purged.
It's a complex mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which leads us right to that incredibly dramatic, very public end to his life, February 13th, 2017.
Yeah. A chemical weapon attack in a busy international airport, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Just incredible. Sources describe how two women went up to him at one of those self-check-in kiosks.
Right, and just quickly smeared something on his face.
And that substance, Malaysian police later identified it through the autopsy as VX nerve agent.
A banned chemical weapon, highly toxic.
Extremely. He got seriously ill almost immediately. Died on the way to the hospital. Just tragic.
He was traveling under an alias, right? Kim Chol.
Yeah, on a North Korean passport. But his identity was confirmed later using fingerprints, apparently data provided by South Korea.
The investigation moved fast. The two women were arrested, one Vietnamese, one Indonesian, and a North Korean man too.
Right. The North Korean guy was later released and deported. Not enough evidence, they said.
And the women! Different outcomes there.
Very different. The Indonesian woman was released, murder charge dropped. Again, lack of evidence cited. The Vietnamese woman, though, she was convicted, but of a lesser charge causing injury with a dangerous weapon. Served a reduced sentence and was then released.
And the diplomatic fallout. Wow, Malaysia and North Korea really went at it.
Oh, yeah. Malaysia pulled its ambassador, scrapped visa-free travel for North Koreans, declared North Korea's ambassador persona non grata,
And eventually just closed its embassy in Pyongyang altogether.
Meanwhile, North Korea, according to the sources, just flatly denied everything, vehemently.
Said he died of shock.
Yeah, or heart attack. Called the whole assassination thing a plot by South Korea and the U.S. They protested Malaysia's actions, the autopsy, called it a grave terrorist act and an infringement on their sovereignty.
Total opposite reaction from the U.S. government, though.
Completely. The U.S. formally concluded North Korea ordered the hit using VX. And that finding was a key reason they put North Korea back on the state sponsors of terrorism list later in 2017 and added more sanctions.
So this massive event unfolds, assassination with the WMD on the world stage, and then, out of the aftermath, this organization steps forward.
Exactly. This group, first known as Cheollima Civil Defense, sources say it was likely founded right around that time in 2017.
And their stated goals were helping defectors and, well, resisting Kim Jong-un.
That's what they said. Supporting defectors, actively pushing back against the regime.
The name's interesting, too. Cheollima, that's that mythical winged horse, right? Big in North Korean propaganda?
It is. Using that name could be seen as them trying to reclaim or flip that state symbol. They did rename themselves later, though, to Free Joseon in 2019.
What's really striking is how anonymous they are.
Deliberately so. Details about members, leadership, it's all kept very hidden. Website registration obscured. Makes it hard to know who they really are or how they operate.
But they claim international connections. They've said they got help from governments, U.S., China, the Netherlands, even an unnamed one.
Right. And their first big public act, the one that really got attention, was directly tied to the assassination, protecting Kim Han-sol.
Kim Jong-nam's son. Sources say they got a request for help from him and the family right after the murder.
Immediately after, yeah. And they apparently got them out, moved them to safety.
There was that YouTube video too, wasn't there? With Kim Han-sol thanking them.
Yes, thanking Cheollima Civil Defense and specifically mentioning help from the U.S., China, and the Netherlands. Later on, some reports in our sources claimed he was living under FBI protection near New York.
With maybe even CIA involvement in getting him there, though that's always hard to confirm.
Very hard. Those intelligence links are often speculated about, but rarely proven definitively.
So, beyond protecting the son, what else were they reportedly doing?
Well, they claim other activities. Helping defectors escape, maybe through routes in China, Southeast Asia. Using digital stuff like taking Bitcoin donations, putting out statements online.
And then things escalated quite a bit. February 2019, the Spanish embassy incident.
Yeah, that was major. Sources describe a group linked to them going into the North Korean embassy in Madrid, detaining staff for hours, taking computers, phones.
And Free Joseon took responsibility for that publicly.
They did on their website in March 2019. Said they got specific information of immense potential value and shared it with the FBI.
What did the Spanish authorities make of it?
They investigated, identified some alleged members. A former U.S. Marine, Christopher Ahn, was arrested in the U.S. in connection with it. Adrian Hong, reportedly a leader, had his home searched.
Was there talk of CIA involvement there too?
Widely speculated in Spanish media, yeah, though the CIA denied it publicly. And then there's another twist. One source mentioned testimony suggesting the whole thing might have been staged, maybe at the request of a North Korean diplomat who wanted to defect. So layers upon layers.
Right after that embassy raid and just after the U.S.-North Korea summit in Hanoi kind of fell apart, they made a big announcement.
Huge. March 2019. They renamed themselves Free Joseon and declared they were setting up a provisional government for a free North Korea.
Declaring themselves the sole legitimate representative of the North Korean people.
That's what sources report they claimed. And as a symbolic gesture, they issued these virtual visas using blockchain technology. That secure digital ledger, limited to 200,000 apparently.
And they put out a statement accusing the Kim regime of crimes against humanity. The timing seemed pretty pointed.
Definitely seems symbolic, coming right after those high-level talks collapsed.
Were there other activities mentioned in the sources?
Yeah, some other alleged things. Possible involvement in the disappearance of North Korea's acting ambassador to Italy, Cho Song-gil, back in 2018. And some graffiti that appeared on the Malaysian embassy wall in 2019 saying, "Overthrow Kim Jong-un," suspected link to the group there too.
Okay, so when we try to weave all these threads together, Kim Jong-nam's strange life, his very public death, this group Free Joseon emerging, what kind of picture does it paint?
Well, it's complex, and a lot of it's still pretty opaque, isn't it? It points to power struggles, resistance, a lot of international maneuvering around North Korea.
The sources float various reasons for why Kim Jong-nam might have been killed. Kim Jong-un's personality is mentioned.
Yeah, described as potentially paranoid in some reports, or just wanting to remove a potential figurehead for anyone unhappy with the regime.
And those alleged connections to foreign intelligence, China especially, but also U.S., South Korea, Japan, that comes up a lot.
It does. And there's that disputed report about Zhou Yongkang, the former Chinese security chief, supposedly tipping off Kim Jong-un about Jang Song-thaek, which maybe put Kim Jong-nam in the crosshairs too, but that's debated.
Right. All these allegations, which North Korea just denies completely, they really highlight the suspicion, the sort of international dimension to what might seem like internal family politics.
Absolutely. And as for Free Joseon, well, more recent reports, even up to May 2025, suggest their visible activity might have slowed down.
No big operations confirmed since that 2019 embassy incident.
Seems that way. Which could be because of the increased scrutiny, the arrests, the surveillance they faced after Madrid.
It might have made things much harder for them to operate.
Potentially. And despite declaring the provisional government, the sources point out there's really no confirmed evidence of any big revolutionary movement inside North Korea itself. So questions remain about their actual impact on the ground.
Well, North Korea just keeps calling them a terrorist organization.
So it's a story just full of intrigue, from the secret life of this sort of unconventional royal to a shocking chemical attack, and then this mysterious resistance group popping up.
The sources give us these valuable glimpses into that hidden world around the regime, but like you said, so often with North Korea, it leaves us with a ton of unanswered questions. Motivations, connections, actual impact.
It really speaks to the layers of secrecy surrounding the state and how internal Kim dynasty issues get tangled up with outside interests and potential challenges.
So we've traced this complex, often tragic story of Kim Jong-nam and looked into what Free Joseon has been up to, based on the sources we have. For you, the listener, what really stands out from all this? Is it the personal story of Kim Jong-nam's unusual life, the sheer drama of how he died? Or maybe the appearance of this shadowy group trying to fight the regime from outside?
Yeah, lots to think about.
Yeah.
And maybe here's a final provocative thought for you to consider. In a place like North Korea, where information is so tightly controlled and dissent is crushed so brutally, what kind of future can a group like Free Joseon, shadowy, internationally connected, really hope to achieve? And how might their story continue based on the patterns and reports we've seen?
Something to mull over. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.